Now, may soon try recording on the cloud and we see whether that works.
Yes, teacher, it works.
Oh, great. That way, I would have 2 recordings, one locally here, and then would have another one on the cloud. Yours on the cloud, you can pause a bit every now and then when we don't want some stuff, but mine can keep running. So, thank you. Today, you're most welcome. I want to share with you my plan for today. My plan for today, I would like us to review the previous lesson, what we did, what we learned, what was most outstanding from your perspective, of course. And then so this will be a participatory session. I'll be asking you a few questions during the lesson. You tell me a bit about what you learned. So I'll do that. Secondly, I'll talk about the learning outcomes. We shall remind ourselves what this chapter 8 is all about. What must we learn from it? So those are the learning outcomes. But I'll also focus that today we will talk mainly about the formation of metamorphic rocks for a few minutes, and then we'll hope to understand the concept of plate tectonics as we build up. Those are 2 things that I think we shall focus on. I will then take you through, here it will be just learning outcome, and then I'll take you through how to access the study resources. I've created resources. I'm still creating the materials. I am adapting the NCDC prototype to online environment to self-study, adding a few things. So I'll introduce you to chapter 7. I'll introduce you to chapter 8 so that you can go back and check out things and even have assessments. And then we will go into the depth of our lesson. For today, I'll use a slightly different approach. I will follow the course as I have built it in the platform. So we'll go step by step through the course, go through the resources. Of course, I'm putting more, but we will use these resources today. So we're going to go to part number 1, and part number 1 is a review of what we did, what we learned. And therefore, my question to you from the previous lesson, what do you remember? What stood out for you? What did you learn? I'll take 4 people. You can raise your hand and then tell me what you learned. The rest of you, feel free to go to the chat room and then you can quickly type in. So I start with Amal. Amal, what did you learn? Amal Bushra.
Teacher, in the previous topic of, was it for rocks or weather?
Okay, for the topic chapter 8 is about the formation of landforms, and we agreed that most landforms are from rocks, and therefore we interested ourselves in the formation of rocks. So, and the different types. So what did you learn for you?
I learned in rocks, I learned that Igneous rocks were formed by magma cooling and to solidify, forming a rock. Then sedimentary rocks were formed from sediments. Then metamorphic rocks were formed from different types of rocks, like igneous rocks and sedimentary rocks, into forming new ones. Then I learned in I also learned about plateaus.
Okay. Thank you, Amal. You have made a very good summary, but I want to also learn from the others. That was very, very good, Amal. So let me learn and see from Namagembe, Asha. Asha, what have you learned so far? What stood out for you?
Teacher, I have learned that rocks, landforms, and drainage influence the way people live, especially the economic and leisure activities they carry out.
Wow. 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 That rocks and landforms influence the way people live and the activities they carry out. That is very powerful. Thank you, Asha. Let me go to Agnes, Ryan, and Navidi.
Teacher learned that igneous rocks that cool the magma that remains inside and doesn't come to the surface, those are, and it cools the intrusive igneous rocks, and those that make it to the surface, call them extrusive igneous rocks.
Wow. So you have learned, Brianna, that those igneous rocks that make it to the surface are extrusive. Those that don't are intrusive. That's great. So intrusive and extrusive. That is very accurate. Let me now go to Asha. Are there two Ashas? Okay, Asha F1 North. Asha, you might want to add.
Teacher, it's
Pardon?
She renamed it one.
Oh, you just renamed. It's
Yes.
better you use both names. I think you noticed that I was very, very comfortable when I saw that your names were fully written, and that was very, very exciting. So we could use both names. That's usually very good because it gives me an opportunity to.
I'm giving the answer.
Pardon?
I'm giving the answer.
Okay, Asha, F1. Because there was another Asha.
The rocks of the earth can be divided. Teacher, I learned that the rocks of the earth can be divided into 3 types depending on how they are formed.
Okay. And which were the types?
Igneous rocks and
okay. Igneous, metamorphic, and elementary.
extrusive
Mariam, I have muted you.
and sedimentary rocks.
Okay, and sedimentary. Finally, I want to go to Maisun. Maisun, what did you learn?
I have learned that the types of rocks that they can be according to the way they are formed: igneous rocks, sedimentary rocks, and also metamorphic rocks. To go into details, igneous rocks were formed by eruption, the igneous fire. They were formed through eruption, where the magma cools. And I learned the types of igneous rocks according to where the magma cools from. Volcanic rock, they cool on where it cools on the surface, hyperbisal, where it cools in the middle, and platonic abyssal, where it cools down, deep down.
Great. So thank you. I'm going to cut it off at that time. At that point, Bukenya, I'll give you another chance as we move along. But the review has been extensive and very informative. So I want us to go to the next part of today's lesson. I'm going to project our plan. I want us to move according to the plan. So according to our plan, we have done the review. Now we are going to reviewing what the topic is about, what you are expected to learn. You have told me what you have learned. Is that what we're expected to learn? So I'm going to go to that part of the learning outcomes. And why is this important? It is important because it enables us to remain on track. We can do a lot of interesting things, but is it what we're meant to do, what we're meant to learn? So that's why I keep referring to the learning outcomes. So one, we are to draw. I think I deleted some slides. Hopefully I didn't. I could be missing a slide. Okay, I think here we are. So by the end of the chapter, you should be able to locate the major landforms on a map. Locate the major landforms on the map of East Africa. Meaning that if I set an activity of integration, I can expect this. I expect you to, in the activity of integration, to demonstrate to me that you can locate the major landforms. So when I set an activity of integration, expect something around that. Secondly, that we understand the main types of rocks and how they were formed. You have just told me about that. So it's a very important area, how the main types of rocks were formed. Thirdly, we understand that the main types of landforms were formed by rocks themselves or by rocks being worn away. Now, so far, we are looking at the rocks, but soon we shall talk about the landforms from rocks, and we shall talk about what happens when the landforms are changed. Then, to understand the main concept of plate tectonics and how this has led to the formation of the main physical features in East Africa. Now, for today's lesson, we are going to focus a lot on the concept of plate tectonics and on complete the component of rocks, because we hinted at metamorphic rocks. We shall hopefully today complete that. And then the next one, draw diagrams to show the formation of important physical features. Ladies and a few gentlemen, in geography, when I ask you to explain how a particular landform was formed, when I ask you to explain, I say explain how this was formed, you can use a lot of words, a lot of English, a lot of geography, and I like it. But if you can also illustrate it with a diagram, it gives me a better visual impression. And I have the idea that you understand the process better. The diagram summarizes the process. So when we say, for example, how was the Rift Valley formed? You can tell me nice stories. You know, there were tensional forces, you know, one block was moving, you know, but it may not sink in. If you can illustrate that with a diagram, I'll be like, yes. So we shall talk about that. We shall use diagrams. When we say Rift Valley formation, Block Mountain formation, a volcanic eruption formation, formation of sedimentary rocks, formation of igneous rocks. When you have diagrams, it makes a lot more sense to me and to everyone. So draw diagrams to show the important physical features and how they're formed. Then understand the characteristics of the main physical features. What does this mean? When we say a Rift Valley, what does the Rift Valley look like? What does the Rift Valley look like? So I'll expect that. And then the relationship between drainage and landforms, recognize landforms on a photograph, understand how your life is affected. Those we shall talk about some point, but our main emphasis for today will be on the rocks and then on the concept of plate tectonics, because it helps us to understand the background. I want to read the chat room just a little bit. Okay, so chat room, yeah, I've read what you learned from the previous lesson. That's very good. That's very good. So let's skip the chat room to the task, and we shall all be very, very happy. So I want to stop it at that. And now we go back to our lesson. We have gone through the learning outcomes. So let's now go back in our lesson. What is next after the learning outcomes? We have stressed these two areas. The next item today is for us to navigate, to move around, to see, to learn how to get the resources that we shall use for learning purposes. So I'm stopping sharing, and then we go to the platform. Is there a question at this time before I proceed? By comment.
Teacher, what do you mean by plate tectonics?
Good question. What do I mean by plate tectonics? Yeah, I feel good that at least I've mentioned something that you don't know, because you guys are very sharp. I come here, I never mention things you don't know. But secondly, this is something that we are going to learn today now. So I'm not going to answer it because it is the main concept of today's lesson. So by the end of today, you should have understood what plate tectonics is about and how it affects the formation of landforms. That's a great question. What do you mean by that? So we shall go to it. Yeah. Okay, let's now go to the resources. I'm now beaming our school learning management system e-learning platform. So I'm going to log in. Here is I'm already logged in. Let me sign out temporarily. Am I sharing my screen with you? No, I'm not sharing my screen. So let me share my screen. We all know how to get to that place, don't we? Because we have used this before. But I was surprised. I have seen some students have never logged in. And I'm wondering what happened. Where do they learn from? But I'll check. Have they left?
Some have never learned.
Some have never learned. Yes, because this platform can show us who is learning and who is not. And I'm seeing some people are not there at all. We'll find out why. Hopefully it's not because of internet or something like that. So I'm going to log in. And even if you don't, so if you just go to this platform and you start clicking like this, I hope you are seeing my screen. You can navigate to Senior 1 Geography 2020. I think this is the one. So I'm going to click it. So when I click it, it comes here. It says enrollment. Guests cannot access this course. We have locked it to you guys, so you guys can work in it privately. I can open it up temporarily, but for now it is not. So it says continue. When it continues, you want to type your username. You remember the username you guys have? The one that we gave you. So you type it there and the password.
Yes, teacher.
Then you log in. Okay. Now, having logged in into the platform, into geography, I scroll. I put material for chapter 4, summary for fieldwork, chapter 5. I keep adding some materials, chapter 6. And then I'm going to start with chapter 7, and then we'll go to chapter 8. We are learning chapter 8. But when we are doing chapter 7, some of you needed some additional resources. Some of you needed materials that had been produced by your friends. So I thought I would put it together so that you can refer to it. So I go to chapter 7, I click it. When I click chapter 7, it has opened. Now it shows chapter 7, location, size, and relief regions of East Africa. I click it. And then it opens. When it opens, I need you to pay attention to the following. There is a thing here on the left-hand side, this particular one. These 4 lines. If I click them, they hide the navigation. This is them. If I click them again, they show the navigation. Now, the navigation is on this side, so I can click a unit and it opens. Now I go to the next one, it can open. I go to the next one, it can open the material. If I want to hide the navigation, I click here. Why do I hide it? Because I want to have a bigger space. Secondly, on my right-hand side, you have 4 arrows pointing in different directions, this particular one. If I click these arrows, it expands and covers the entire screen. Now you can see. Now I can navigate. How do I navigate? I have an arrow pointing back forward. I have an arrow pointing back. If I want to get back to where I was, I click these arrows now in the corner like that. And I bring back the navigation. Remember, there is another navigation at the top of the page here, so I can have two navigations. One navigation for the entire course. I can close it. I hope you are seeing. Left-hand side. I close. I open it. I hide it. I go to this one. I close. I hide. Like that. I go to the one on the right. I enlarge. I reduce. So that's how we navigate. And then you can see for this one, it is saying page 13 out of 17. So I'm on page 13. I can then click next and I go to the next page. 14 out of 17, like that. It is repeated at the bottom. It is also at the top. So that is how we navigate. I'm now going to the chapter itself, the chapter header, and then I run through it with you quite quickly. But I'm pausing for a minute to read the chat room. I'm seeing some red in the chat room. Okay. Okay, no useful information for me. So let's go like that. Those of you who are unable to quickly navigate, I'm going to copy this link, this particular one. And then I am posting it in the chat room so that you can simply click the link. So I'm just posting it there to enable you to just see the link. Let me pause a bit, then I send it to you in the chat room. So if you just click that link, it should take you to the place. Let me share again. Okay. So this is where we are. This is chapter 1. I have put a new picture. Then it gives an overview of the chapter. The learning outcomes in the chapter are here. I'm not going to read through them. What is East Africa? There is an activity and then a quick summary. And I'll be adding some materials along the way, location and size. We have the activities as per the learning guide. And then on the next unit was population. And what I've done is to put a short video that explains concept in population. It says the video is not available to play back here, but if you click YouTube, it will play. There is another video that explains how to draw a pie chart. So I go next, you may watch it during your time. Relief regions of East Africa, I have put the map that you could draw, some activities, and then I have put a summary. Those who attended the lessons, you remember I had a summary in PowerPoint. So this is the summary that I had in PowerPoint. I go to the next one. I have put a project activity, which I encourage you to do. This activity talks about the importance of the landforms around us. It is one thing that if you could do it, do it. I really, really encourage you to do it because it will enable you to understand the landform very well. You can submit it. I'll use a rubric to show you how it is scored. Then I go next. Natural hazards around us. We talked about some of the hazards. We didn't follow this to the letter, but now you can go back in and then do more. I put additional videos, a video on natural hazards. So this is a flooding in Mayanja area. Very, very nice video. I watched it. I couldn't resist it. Then coastal plain, Some of you are saying we don't have sufficient information. I have summarized the information here, so you can go through. Then the Eastern Plateau, we have put some materials. I could put more, but I think this is sufficient. We don't have to overwrite as long as we understand what is there. Then we have an activity on the Rift Valley. And what I have done, I have got some of the work that you produced. For example, the work that my son produced about the Rift Valley, now I have put it. So students of Senior 1 next year, when they visit this platform, they will read from what my son produced and what you guys produced. So I'll be looking through your work every now and then. When I find something interesting, something informative, we will use it for other learners. So it is in the platform, and then benefits of the Rift Valley, problems associated, you can look at that. Something I have added here, additional resources. Now, this is a presentation. So if I click next, you have a photo and then an assignment. You see, this we didn't have during the lesson, but I've put a little more resources for you for self-study. A short video on salt mining and conservation, like that. So notice there is navigation for this little one and then navigation for the whole course. So this is inside. So let me go to the next one. Central and Lake Plateau, I have added photos now in that one. Then we have added some materials from the relief of the Central Plateau. I took this photo from Nachigarala. I had gone there with my kids. We are touring during this COVID. So I took this picture and I thought it was a useful one. So I put it, I've added it. I have put a quiz, a photo and a quiz. So you can go through and try to answer. What is the dominant landform in this photograph? You can answer. So if I say,
Teacher.
Yes? Check.
Teacher, the quiz doesn't come for me.
The quiz doesn't work for you.
Yes, teacher, it's not coming. Like.
Let me first go to the end, then we'll follow up. We'll follow up, but it will load. So we go like that. So different slides. These are like slides, like the PowerPoints with a question, like that. Then it gives you a summary. Then importance. Now, after an activity, we harmonize. What have you learned from it? So here is the material, problems of people living in the Central and Lake Plateau. We discussed this during the lesson. Now what I've done is to put together what we discussed and put it in one container for self-learning, for revision purposes. We go to importance of East African highlands. So again, same procedure. Let me first minimize this, enlarge this. So East Africa highlands there. What is their importance? I'll put a video. If I click here, it will give me some pictures, problems faced, some pictures, some materials, etc., etc. For example, here it says, how has the relief affected settlement in this area? It says, fill in the missing words. Dash slopes discourage settlement. So if you type a correct answer, it will mark you. If you type a wrong one, it will also indicate whether it is wrong. So if I say mu slopes, then I say check. It's you failed it. So it says retry. What is the correct one? I will not try for you. So this is the material that I have put together. I am going to minimize. You see how I navigate. Then I go to the next one. Like that. There's progressive assessment, a lot of things. So that's how we navigate the one of the previous course. Now going to the one of this course. So let me listen to Rihanna. Rihanna, I see you have raised your hand.
Teacher, I was requesting you to put back to the part of the East African highland, like the beginning.
The East Africa highlands. You
Yes.
wanted to take a screenshot or something?
Yes, please.
But okay, fine. You can take a screenshot right away. But the point here is I have put all that material in the platform. But let me do that. Probably have a specific reason why you want to screenshot it right now. But I have put it in the platform. Maybe you want to have it today.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes. Just a moment. Let me first do for Ryan. Ryan, how do you pronounce your name?
Teacher, it's right now.
Right. So where did you want me to show? Which one did you?
Right below the heading, the East African Highland, right there.
This one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you, teacher.
You're welcome.
Done.
You're done. Yeah. Okay. Who was it who wanted to mention something? Please raise your hand so that I can have a little more organization.
Teacher.
Who is that one? Raise your hand, then I know. Is that Melissa?
Yes.
Okay, Melissa.
Teacher, I was requesting you to first go back to the learning platform to see where the quiz is.
Hey, to see where the quiz is. Melissa, what
Yes.
if I show you where the course is? Would that work?
Yes.
Okay. So let me do this. And guys, the reason I'm doing this, I noticed that when we are now 135, we started when we were 80. So some of your colleagues did not. So bear with us because I really need them on board. That's why I want to redo that. Now, those of you who came in late, please remember when you are late, we keep going back and forth. This is extremely important, and that's why I'm going back to it. Okay. So this is how I'm going. This is the screen. I'm going to sign out quickly. And the reason for signing out is to enable those people who just came in to be able to log. So you go to eLearning at eLearning.nabisunsagirls.ac.uk. That one, you know how to get there. I have not logged in, but you might want to log in, but I've not logged in. Now I'm navigating at the courses like that. I'm moving like that. And I'm reading through. I'm looking for Senior 1 Geography. Senior 1 Geography is here. I click it. It tells me, hey, you can't enroll yourself. Someone should have enrolled you. So for you, click continue because you're a student of Nabisuns. Then it will ask you for your username. Use the Nabisuns email address we gave you. Then your password, and then log in. Don't log in as guest, log in as you. Now, this is the course. In the course, you have ways of studying geography. I can click and see what there is. You see inside it, you have notes. You can download the notes. You can have a link to video, the ones we did last time. I go back. That is chapter 4. It's a summary of fieldwork. I've clicked. It says interactive fieldwork summary. I can click and see a book, a fieldwork book. Remember that thing, read. I go back. I go back. You see, I go to chapter 5, Earth movements, Earth and its movement. I click. I click. Hey, Earth and its movement. I click Earth and its movement. Where you see H5P. Activities are here. You remember those things? They are there. Introduction. Very nice material. I'll now even put the lesson, a link to the lesson, to the video we did during the lesson. I'll put the link. I go back. You see, I click here and I go back to another. Says now next, chapter 6, weather and climate. Hey, weather. Okay, I click weather and climate. Weather and climate, what is there? There is weather and climate here, and then there is a quiz. This thing is opening things which I don't understand. Okay, there is a quiz. For weather and climate, there is also notes. Here, the notes are here, and activities, notes and activities. They are there. Notes and activities on weather and climate. They are there, but not very detailed. That one I had not given a lot of emphasis on this particular platform. I go back. You see, it was weather and climate. Yeah, weather and climate. Okay, weather and climate. I put two things. There was a quiz in weather and climate. You remember the one that people did, weather and climate, chapter 6 quiz. I click the quiz. The quiz opens. Question 1, weather and climate quiz. Areas adjacent to Lake Victoria receive heavy rainfall as known as. Let me give one answer. Tap. I select check. Pooh, I failed it. I say retry. Areas adjacent to Lake Victoria receive a main type of rainfall known as convectional rainfall. I click. Check. Pooh, passed. Next one. So that one, there is a quiz on weather and the climate. I go back. You see? I go back. Hey, it's chapter 7 now. Tap, chapter 7. I open. Tap, chapter 7, relief regions of East Africa. It now opens relief regions of East Africa. We have learned we can use this arrow here, the 4 arrows on the left, on the right, to magnify this thing. Boom, it becomes very big. I can use the arrows, I can hide the navigation on the left. Ding, I hide. I simply click next, next. Using the navigation at the top, like that, like that, like that, back. If I want to go forward, I click the one facing to the right. If I want to go back, I click the one facing backwards. You see? Boom. I am done. Like that. So that is how we do it. So you navigate, you go through slowly, review. I'll be putting additional questions for review. That is how we navigate, ladies and gentlemen. So we say that one is navigation, chapter 7. But how about this chapter? This chapter is chapter 8. Chapter 8, formation of major landforms. Deep. I open it. This is the crux of the matter. I open it again. This is where we are. These are the learning outcomes. I want to expand it. I want to hide part of this. And then we go through the course for today. This is what we did last time. We talked about the different kinds of rocks and how they are formed. We talked about the importance of minerals. We talked about different activities. Then I said you can click and download the notes on rocks. You can watch the video. This one we saw the other day, the information of the features, the rocks, etc., etc. So we looked at the sedimentary rocks, and today we are going to look at the other kinds of rocks. And the rock that we are going to refer to today is the metamorphic rock. That is what we are going to talk about today. And we shall start with the rock cycle. I am going to pause because now we are going to the next unit, which is the formation of the metamorphic rocks. We saw we had igneous rocks, we had sedimentary rocks, and today we talk briefly about the metamorphic rocks and how they are formed. And I'll indicate to you on the left-hand side, there is something that I've called progressive or support photos here. Rock summary, I want to introduce that. So you see metamorphic rocks. I click and move along. We are going to go through this quickly. Formation of the rocks, we are going to go through together. And then there is a rock summary. You see, rocks summary, rocks summary, rocks on the left-hand side, and then has summary. So having revised, having read, having enjoyed, where is the summary? The summary is here. What are rocks? If you click, a quick definition. What are the different types of igneous rocks? If I click, here it is. You have hyperbasal, plutonic, you see? I go back. What are the different problems of igneous rocks? I click. I have a summary, you see? So we will go through the activities and then we have our summary here in the platform. You can read everywhere, but you can also come and consult our platform here for organized material that you can use. That is how we have organized it. I am not saying any more word. I am now listening to you. So let me start by listening to Grace. Grace.
Excuse me, you didn't post the recorded lessons.
Yes, Grace.
In those questions you put on the... You didn't post the recorded lessons.
Could I?
You didn't post the recorded lessons.
Post recorded lessons. Now, Grace, you know why I did not post? The challenge was data. I had an issue of data over the weekend, but I'm going to post today. So today, God willing, I'll post. I must add, God willing, inshallah, I'll post today. Okay, next one. Raise your hand if you have a quick question, comment. Now I'm listening to you.
Excuse me, teacher, does every topic have a quiz?
Has every topic got a quiz? Not yet, not yet. Some topics don't yet have quizzes. However, this area is editable. I keep adding. So I'll develop a few more quizzes. Secondly, for some of the topics, I think for chapter 7, you realize the questions I put inside the topic and there are quizzes inside. I'll do the same with chapter 8. I'm not yet through with chapter 8. I'm still writing, but I'll put additional quizzes in chapter 8. And someone told me that you found them useful, so I'll put some. Lady Shima. Lady Shima. Lady Shima, unmute. Okay, it seems.
Whenever I log into my email, in that platform for Nabisuns, it refuses, yet it's the correct one that I was given.
Lady Shima, what we do right now, okay, not right, just after the lesson, let us do one thing. Let us change your password so that we don't have to keep trying. So let's reset your password to a different one to make it easy. We'll do that. So Lady Shima, the issue is reset password. We are going to do that quickly. Great.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
You're welcome. We can now mute and then we go to the chapter. So let's mute and then go back to the platform. I'm going to use the lesson that I've already developed, the unit, so that you see how I go through it and you know that you can now continue on your own. I really want to create that environment where you guys can continue studying. You don't have to depend on Kalema to study. No, you can study on your own. So I see me kindly not getting teacher. Is it only me? Mariam, was it the voice being low? Says I'm not getting teacher. Mariam.
Teacher, not teacher. Like the connection, the internet connection, you're not stable.
Sure. I thought my connection was superb today.
Yes, stable. It's okay.
It's stable. Teacher, it's those people's connection. For us, we are hearing very well.
Yeah, I think so. Today I thought I had fixed internet. But let's see. Let's see. Then I see Anita.
Teacher, we can hear you. We can.
Okay. Someone is saying, can we, when we go back to school, will the teachers ask for, okay. When you, question, like when you go back to school, will the teachers ask for notes? Like, I have.
Yes, teacher, they'll ask for them.
Yes,
they just don't copy.
Yeah, we'll ask for the activity. You know how we are doing it? It's more of activity. You look at it. Like when I said do this project, I would want to have a look at the project. You get me?
I'll mute.
Yes, I would want
Teacher,
to.
but some of them are on the laptops. Like we do them on the laptops.
Okay. If you
like write them.
That's great. If you do your activity on the laptop, and I don't know who that was, if you do your activity on the laptop, I mean, I love it. This is what you do then. You upload it in the platform. That is the beauty of working online. Yes. You upload it. You get me? Upload it. For me, when I come to school, I have internet. So upload those things you have done, upload them, and you have seen how proud I am of your work, to the extent that I'm even integrating it in this particular platform so that other students can use it. That shows you how proud I am of the kind of work that you produce. So when you do an activity, upload. I'll create more spaces. You can go to Google Classroom, upload it there. We have unlimited space on Google Classroom. We have unlimited space in this particular e-learning platform. So please upload. Even in your Google Drive, the school Google Drive, remember the account we gave you? It has a drive. It has a Google Drive on it. Upload. Am I being clear? Put your work in your, in your email. Yes, teacher. In the Google Drive. Put it there. That's why we gave those things to you. You should not be limited. Should even change schools. You let us know. You say, teacher, I have changed school, but my work was in your account of Nabisuns. I'm no longer a student of Nabisuns. We will help you to migrate your work to your new school. So upload it there. Finally, Bushra, Amal Bushra.
And teacher, all the notes, like when you go back to school, since we have not finished like the whole senior one, we need the notes like for study. Like we shall go back, of course, in senior 2, but we didn't finish the whole senior 1 notes, right? We need the notes. So we need to copy the notes.
We have textbooks.
Okay, thank you. We do have the S1 textbook, that's one, but number 2, I think we have 2 chapters. We have chapter 8, then we have chapter 9, and I think chapter 10. We have only 2 chapters, and surely it would be responsible for me to start at strictly senior 2 work when we know we have not covered the chapter in Form 1. You get me? So we will have time to cover any chapter that has not been covered. We will cover it. But at
so
the
when we
same
go
time,
back, are we going back in Form 1 uniforms or?
You'll go back in Form 2 uniforms because there will be Form 1's reporting.
But teacher, what about
reporting on the same days?
I'm not sure of the reporting day, but you know you'll get senior 2 uniforms. So inform your parents. They are going to buy Form 2 uniform because the school will recruit senior 1 students as well.
Excuse me, teacher.
They look ugly.
The person who has raised the hand, that is Tom Sange.
My question is, why didn't we get a break in all these 6 months? Like all other schools got breaks.
The
like
reason
a
we
number
never
of breaks.
got a break, let me answer that quickly. The reason we never got a break is our school has a break every day. We study only 2 lessons a day, so it's a very relaxed program. It's not like many schools that study the whole day. Ours is relaxed, just 2 lessons a day.
Yes, teacher. Gayada studies until 5 p.m.
So you now understand.
No, and they don't even rest.
They also stop at 1. Other schools also stop at 1.
So let's
No,
now
they stop
No,
at 5.
some end at 1.
Yeah,
They
some
end
end at 1, but they start
Like
earlier
my
than
brother's
9.
school, it
Others
ends
stop
at
at
1,
5,
but
5
every
p.m.
after 8 weeks.
Okay, I have chosen to mute you because it was getting out of hand. I am now going to pick here. Khalid.
Teacher, I wanted to ask, what are you going to do about the people who haven't been studying online? What are they going to do when they reach school?
They are going to suffer. They are going to suffer because they'll be required to do a lot of the work that we have been doing for many months in just a few weeks. I do not have the answer of how they'll be able to do it, but they'll be required to do all that work very quickly. We will support them. We'll provide them with some links to videos. I am personally, with the Mr. Namdala and a few other teachers, we are enriching our e-learning platform, putting there those study resources like you have seen, so that the person can use some time to go back to a particular topic and do it on his own or her own. That's one reason we are doing this thing, to support those people, those friends of ours. Even for you guys who have been studying, some of you, it has not been regular. 1 week you have internet, the other you don't have internet. You get it? So that's how it is. But the much painful as it is, we can't stop learning for everyone else just because some people are not able to access. So that's how it is. But they will not have fun. It will be certainly a hard thing for them, but that's where they are. Amina. Amina, you can unmute.
Excuse me. I want to ask about this thing of notes. Like if we come back at school, are you going to request for the notes?
Yes. And they are not, you know that these are responses to activities, right? So we'll ask, like when I said, do this activity, and I know that it is difficult to submit online for some of them. When we go back, we'll say, okay, this particular chapter, let's look at the activity you did, and then so we'll go through. So don't expect that it is like, if I don't do anything. No, there will be accountability. So yes, we shall ask.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Teacher, I have 2 questions. My first is, when we go back to school in January, are we going to straight away go to senior 2 since we would have done exams, or we are going to just stay in senior 1 until
you'll go straight to senior 2?
So.
I think you'll go straight to senior 2, but the head teacher will answer that better than me. But those will have qualified certainly. But the head teacher will be in a better position to answer that one. I don't want to assume I'm the head teacher of the school.
And my second question is, okay, teacher. And my second question is, how are they going to ensure that in online exams there is no cheating? I got it from the chat room from Asha.
How are they going to ensure there is no cheating? Now, for you guys, the exam we give, okay, at least the one that I'll give, even if you try cheating, I'll know. Because it's based on creativity. The answers are from your thinking. And what form of cheating? Like clicking Google and then downloading the answer. Some of those things we'll discuss how to do it. Some of them I don't yet have the answers, by the way. But let's see. Karunj Shiba, you'll be the last for now.
Teacher, I wanted to ask that
when we are going back to school, I heard that like parents in the parents meeting people are saying that they're going to split us up. They're going to people who have qualified to continue. They'll go to S1 to S2, and then the rest will be like S1A and B. Like A is for the ones who have just joined, and B is for the ones who aren't studying online. So is that how it's going to be?
That one, the detail, I am not very sure of, but in the meeting it was discussed that if the worst comes to the worst, we'll certainly have to have those kids who have not been studying in their own class. Like just imagine the topics that we've gone through. And then you are dumped in the same class. Can you imagine how rough it can be? So, but it is something that is being discussed. Okay, so let's go back to our lesson. I had to answer many of those questions because you've been asking them in the other lesson. I mean, asking them a lot. But let's now go through metamorphic rocks quickly. Now that we all know, or hopefully all of us know how to find the material. Now that all of us know how to find these materials, let's now go to the other kinds of rocks. We talked about the sedimentary rocks, and we said that sedimentary rocks are from sediments. Some of them are organically formed when the sediments are from once living organisms, like when it comes to formation of oil and coal and coral reefs. Some of them are chemically formed, like when salt, water evaporates, leaving behind salt crystals. So those are sedimentary rocks. Now, let us talk about the other kinds of rocks. And I want to start with a short video that shows the rock cycle. So listen in as we look at this, take note, how do these rocks form, and can one rock become another? Can a sedimentary rock become a different kind of rock? So that's what we're going to do right now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Thor Robertson. Today I'm going to be teaching you about the rock cycle. First, you need to know about the 3 different types of rocks: igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic. Each of these rocks has a unique way of forming and can even transform into one another. Now, let's start by explaining how igneous rocks form. This volcano looks like it's about to erupt. Beneath the Earth's crust is liquid magma. Magma usually travels to the Earth's surface through volcanoes. Once the liquid hot magma makes its way above ground, it cools and hardens over time into new rock. These rocks that form are what we know as igneous rocks. Sedimentary and metamorphic rocks can become igneous rocks by melting and hardening, although this is a very rare occurrence. Now, let's move on to sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are easy to identify because of their name. Sedimentary rocks are composed of loose sediments, hence the name. Parts of igneous and metamorphic rocks can become sedimentary rocks through weathering, erosion, compaction, and cementation. Weathering and erosion are natural forces that cause pieces of rocks to break off into smaller sediments. This is usually caused by wind or the water. These sediments then get carried away and gather over time, as you can see here. This is called deposition. Now, compaction and cementation binds these sediments together with pressure and other earth elements, specifically water. The rocks that form are what we know as sedimentary rocks. Finally, let's discuss metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks form from a process, similarly called metamorphosis. Metamorphosis occurs when other rocks are subject to intense heat and pressure. Let's take a look. Underground, magma can find its way through porous and loose materials. When the magma can't get to the surface, it starts to change the sediments and materials that are close enough to feel its heat. The heat from the magma and the pressure from the tons of material above cause the surrounding sediments and materials to change their composition and structure. Metamorphosis usually occurs at temperatures between 300 and 700 degrees Celsius. These new rocks that form are what we know as metamorphic rock. Igneous and sedimentary rocks can go through metamorphosis if they are buried deep enough under the Earth's surface and if they are exposed to high enough temperatures. Let's get back to my office now. As you can see, rocks form in many ways, and each rock has the potential to become a different kind of rock under the right circumstances. The rock cycle has existed for as long as we can date back. Rocks have been forming and transforming for millions of years. The Earth is made of rocks, and now you know how they form. Thanks for watching. I'm Thor Robertson.
Okay. A quick recap. Number one, we are seeing we have metamorphic igneous rocks. Igneous rocks. And we are noting that the rocks can change from one rock type to another. That is something we have noted. Now, we are also noting, and I'm going through quickly, the igneous rocks could be on the surface, like you're seeing this particular one right at the surface, but they could also be intruded. That one we already talked about. Now, the next thing he has talked about, the formation of the sedimentary rocks. And as said, it results from sediments. We are seeing the sediments here, and the sediments are deposited. They are laid down. So the process involves erosion, transportation, that is the movement, and then deposition, laying down. Once they are laid down, they are deposited, they are laid down, they are then compacted. They are compressed. When they are compacted, you can see, and then cemented. The parts are held together to form a rock. Those are sedimentary rocks. But he has also continued to say that these rocks can change under pressure, extreme pressure. Now we are seeing layers of rocks right here. This is one layer. We are seeing material, and the pressure, the extreme pressure, can change the rocks. So the process where the rocks change, we call it metamorphism. Metamorphism, change. Metamorphism. It can change due to extreme pressure being exerted, but he has also pointed out, like here, that you can have magma being intruded. We are introducing a term, intruded. Remember what we mentioned last time, intrusion, when it is pushed in. So when the magma is intruded, it is very hot, and he has said temperatures between 300 degrees Celsius and 700 degrees Celsius. So we are seeing the magma has gone through the layers of rocks, and it has heated the rocks in the neighborhood. The rocks here in the neighborhood have been heated and changed. When they are changed, they are now called metamorphic rocks. So then it becomes a metamorphic rock. So that's about rocks and their formation. So from that video. Now what I have done, when I go to the next one, so when I click next, I now provide you with some written material from the prototype. So you can now see the layers of rocks being exerted and the materials being formed. So this is about the metamorphic rock. I'll expect you to do activity 8.7, which is from the learner's book, the prototype, and it is right here. I'm going to pause and then listen to you, what comments you have, what you have learned, before we go on to the formation of the landforms. Thank you. Let me start with the Raina. Raina, unmute, and then mention what you have learned or question, comment.
Excuse me, teacher.
Go on.
Excuse me, teacher.
Yes, please.
About when you say that the lava, do they have like special thermometers that can measure that lava without it melting?
Oh, do we have special thermometers that can measure the lava? I think they don't use the thermometer. Remember now, there are many ways of now measuring temperature. You know this thing of, for instance, COVID? You know that we are now able to tell the temperature even without touching. Two, we are now able to tell temperature by the color of materials. That's how we're able to tell the temperature of the sun. Certainly, you can't put a thermometer that goes up there. Yeah? So they use different methods for detecting that temperature. certainly a thermometer would not do, or even someone going down there to measure that would be very, very difficult. So the indirect methods of measuring. Thank you. Then Amal.
Teacher.
Go on.
I'm wanting to say, like, the magma, has it ever happened in Uganda? Like, can you see it with your own eyes?
Like, has it ever happened in Uganda?
Yes.
Yes, it has happened many times. We have many volcanic features. For example, Mount Elgon is volcanic, Mount Muhabura, the Sabinyo, the Mgahinga, all those have been volcanic. But of recent, maybe that's where your question is, has it happened recently in our lifetime? In our lifetime here in Uganda, it has not, but it has happened next door. I think that was this year, early this year, where we had the eruption in Nyira, I think that was Nyiragongo in DRC Congo. And some of the people ran from there into Uganda just so recently. I could just Google it quickly, but not in Uganda, but in DRC Congo, we've had it recently, not in Uganda. Okay. No more questions at this time, right? We seem to be comfortable. So you know where to find the resources. Now, I want us to go back to our platform. I want us to go back to our platform, and then we follow up. I'm using resources that we have already used. So you'll go back. We do now have a summary here that the materials formed that way are metamorphic rocks. I will encourage you, because when you go back to school, some of you may not have this material with you. You may not have a computer with you. You might have, but like they say, the weakest pen is stronger than the strongest mind. So when you when you write things, you remember them better. So take down some of these things. Don't simply say, we have the learner's book. Have your book. Summarize these things in your book. Like we have said, copy the map into your notebook. So kindly copy this map into your notebook, and then shade the type of rock that is likely to be found in each region. Guys, you have seen here the Central and Lake Plateau. What type of rock is likely to be in that region, in the Central and Lake Plateau, where you have rivers flowing with sediments? Which kind of rock is likely to be there? How about at the East Africa coast? What kind of rock is likely to be there? How about in the volcanic highlands of Uganda, in Kisoro? Which kind of rock is likely to be there? So I need you to draw this map in your book and then shade out the likely type of rock. Then give reasons to explain why in this area of Kisoro, what type of rock is like. Let me see if I can point. Can I spotlight? Can I annotate? Let me see. Let me see quickly. Let me see. So here, which kind of rock is likely to be taking place in this zone? How about in this particular zone, the highland area? Which kind of rock is likely to be there? How about at the coast of East Africa, right there? And why? Give reasons to support your answer. Why you think a particular type of rock should take place there. I have put some additional resources. There is a specific video on metamorphic rocks. I am going to play it briefly. I will not complete it, but I would want you to look at it at some point. Okay, let's go.
All right, in this video, we're going to be talking about metamorphic rocks. Please get your rocks flowcharts ready so we can fill in our final third column. Now, recall, rocks are classified according to how they form. Igneous form from cooling and solidified magma, sedimentary form from compacted and cemented sediments, and now our metamorphic rocks These are ones that are going to undergo some sort of change, a metamorphosis. And what drives that change is exposure to heat, really intense heat, or pressure, intense pressure. So metamorphic rocks are rocks that are changed as a result of exposure to intense heat and or pressure. So there are two types of metamorphism that occur in nature. The first
I'm stopping that video because we have already explained that. So it's a more or less repetition. Those people who have not attended the lesson will need that video. Those who have attended the lesson, I have already explained. So there is no need to go through it. But I put the resource nevertheless for you to revise quickly. So I go to the next one. The next is the summary. Like we said earlier on, what is the summary of these rocks? So if you so wish, you can go through the summary. And that is the end of the unit. Now, some of you might have a question. I have put a recorder here. And why? Some people said, you know, teacher, we are using phones, we can't record etc. So you can use the recorder. If I say allow, so I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm working on this thing. I'm demonstrating how to use this recorder. Good, done. So I can then download this file and send it to, you send it to me via WhatsApp or another way. So you can download, but I can also play it back. So I say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm working on this thing. I'm demonstrating how to use this recorder. Good, done. So I say, okay, so that is the one. And why do I put those things? Mr. Namdala could have informed you earlier on, may not have told you. What we are going to do, we will add voice. So in the platform where, for example, we have the formation of sedimentary rocks, like here, here. Some people find it difficult to read. So we will get one of you to explain this particular component. Then we get the voice and put it there so that your colleagues can continue learning. We are creating a library of resources that you continue using when you return. So that's an area that you could use. I put some photos of different kinds of rocks in East Africa here. So, and then we have a quiz. I will not go through the quiz with you today, but I've put a quiz for the subunit, but I'll add questions. Then I go to the next one, formation of the landforms. I am going to explain this part because I notice I have run out of time. Let's see, how much time do I have? I have 5 minutes. So in 5 minutes, first I unmute you guys. I allow you to unmute because I have only 5 minutes. Don't abuse the thing. Number 2, I explain quickly use the idea so that you can use the weekend to go through this unit. Okay, let's do it quickly. I want to start at this point. This is what we have learned so far. We have learned that the landforms in East Africa are composed of rocks. And those landforms that are composed of rocks are called structural landforms. For example, the Rift Valley, the Block Mountain, the volcanic highland, the Lake Basin. Those are called structural landforms. We also have landforms in East Africa that have been formed from modification from a change of the previous landforms by processes operating on the surface of the earth, like erosion. You guys have been to the beach and you have seen a cliff at the beach. That cliff was formed by the erosion caused by waves. You have seen some valleys along rivers. In the previous chapter, you saw a waterfall. You could have seen some very sharp peaks in the mountains, in glaciated mountains where you have ice. Those landforms were formed through erosion, through a change, through a destruction of the previous landform. A rift valley was formed with a very steep scarp, but then it was eroded. Those are erosional landforms. So in East Africa, we have structural landforms, and then we have erosional landforms. Our question then, we talked about the Rift Valley, the highlands. What causes them? What forces are responsible for the formation of these things? That you have a valley 5,000 kilometers long, 100 kilometers wide. What causes it? You have a mountain, Mount Rwenzori, 5,109 meters high, 5 kilometers high. You have Kilimanjaro, 6 kilometers tall. What causes it? So in this chapter, we are moving to the underlying forces that created these landforms. So where do the forces come from? Can we control the forces? Someone has just asked, have we had magma erupting in Uganda? Can we control? Are we likely to have it? Do all the forces form the same landforms? Where do they come from? Which of the forces are most prominent? Where do we find them? Do we all have to be fearing? How do they affect people? Right now, as we speak in Spain, in the island of La Palma, there is an eruption today. It has destroyed over 2,000 homes. Is it likely to happen? So I have put activities that explain that these things are a result of processes operating deep inside the crust of the earth. What I've done today is to introduce you to the course and the materials. So you can just click the link and then learn from it. So there's a video here, another video, a third video. So take your time, go through them, and then you click next. This activity has been borrowed from your learner's book that explains plate tectonics. And then I am putting additional resources, a summary. So we have an activity. Having done the activity, I put the summary like that. So in this unit, we'll talk about plate tectonics, and then we'll talk about what it causes, which are the earthquakes. So I want to end it at that time, but I want to encourage you over the weekend, go buy Freak Friday, go get some data over the weekend, run through this course. I'm going to put there a section where you can tell me your reflection. So you click and then you can share your reflections. I'll read through them. I'll put a section where you can submit your responses. Let me now go to the chat room and see if there are any specific comments that I need to respond to. Please remember that this—
They're speaking about school fees.
Please remember that the chat is recorded. So, and if I hope you are discussing things to do with the school, with learning, etc., not the parties that you attended. Okay, thank you. If you have any specific question, I have one opportunity, 1 minute to respond to you. Otherwise, thank you. Let me hear from you as we close the lesson. Over to you.
Are we paying school fees?
No, you are not paying school fees. Why?
Okay, teacher.
The reason, you know why you are not paying.
Yes, teacher, because we finished and they closed down.
Yes. So you are not paying because you already paid your fees. Because you already paid.
Teacher, is there going to be another parents' meeting?
Is there going to be another parents' meeting? I am not sure. I'm not sure.
Teacher,
but excuse me, during the meeting, the